I'm coming to tell you that we're going to reach out more and more to Irondale. We share our border on Ruther Road. I am apologetic to that entrance over there, and that is going to change. I met with Mayor today, and I came to talk to him today to offer my apologies in person, and then he invited me up here to do the same. And John, I would like to work with you in the parks to see what we can share to do things together, and our education resources that we can extend over here. And I'm excited about it, and again, I want to work with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Dr. Weber, I love you too.
All right, next, any other public comments on agenda items only? Any other public comments?
Not agenda item?
Not agenda items. This is just public
I
comments.
told y'all, I'm serious. I'm serious. I got a lot on my mind, y'all. You just don't know. Any other public comments? Okay, go ahead.
Betty McKay, 461 Del Rio Drive. I picked all of these signs off of the telephone poles in Roebuck Plaza. I don't see these over here in Irondale, but this many came out of such a small places where we live. It's ridiculous. I think y'all should pass an ordinance and charge these people with every sign they can. I'm gonna leave these here, and I hope the inspector will take them, and maybe he can pull the rest of them down.
There you go, Miss McKay, right back there.
Raise your hand.
He's a good sign puller.
We got a mess of signs out there. I heard there was more that had been put up, I have not seen them yet. But, that was my number one problem, but number two, City of Trustful is fixing the waterman in Roebuck Plaza. In front of Donna's house and in front of, the little Belleville Baptist Church. They have got mud in front of 5 houses on Donna Street and all the way in front of the church. We have a plumbing company, and if we drop a piece of mud this big off of the trailer in Trustful, Bill and him help you, put you in the back of the car, and put you in jail. Now, why can't Irondale do something with Trustful? There's no
Speak to
reason.
that. I'd like to speak to that. Yes, we did have a pretty good sized leak on both houses, our house and the house across the street. And my husband, I was not home, but my husband was very concerned because he's also a plumber. And the men that work out there assured us that, or him, that as soon as it got through raining over the weekend, that they would be back to clean it up. Now, I didn't know that they had done anything in front of Del Rio Baptist. Is it a mess? I just had been over there, so, but he assured him that they would be back to clean it up. So we will see come Monday if they are gonna come back and not only clean it up, but to fix the road and fix it back like it was before. They need to fix it back like they found it. And, because it's a pretty good size mess on Robbie's side of the street where they had to dig it up. I don't know if you noticed where they got that cone.
And all that in the driveway of the next house down.
Oh, yeah.
If it had been mine, they would have already done something.
Thank you. Council Pike, I will get the mayor involved, maybe him and Mayor Middleton over there in Trustful, maybe. Yeah, we can talk about it. Any public comments next? Yes, sir.
I was up earlier. I want to applaud the mayor and the city council for the resolution recognizing Dr. Weber. In Councilman Sanderson's newsletter, he states that Dr. Weber is being persecuted and the actions by other veterinarians is a travesty. And I have to ratify that statement. If you've ever taken your pet to Dr. Weber, you know he does not make appointments. You sign in when you arrive, and he sees you in order. Sitting in his waiting room, you get to experience all kinds of animal lovers. His fees are the most reasonable of any veterinarian I know. And then many of his patients, I believe, could not afford veterinary care anywhere else. He is a compassionate, generous man, and I believe our community should do all that it can to support Dr. Weber through public support, help with legal fees, trying to build public opinion against the actions of the group harassing him, possibly petitions to the governor or anything like that we can possibly do. And if anybody else is interested, I'll be glad to share contact information with you after the meeting.
Thank you. Any other public comments? I'll take you in the red.
I was just gonna say, there are two other things.
We need your name and
Oh, I'm
address.
sorry. Lynn Reeves at 5240 Beacon Circle. There are two other things that you can do to help places in Irondale. If you go on AL.com, they're running their Best of Birmingham survey right now. Dr. Weber is nominated for the best veterinarian, and Ruffner Mountain is nominated in several of the categories. You don't have to vote for every category. You just go through and pick out the one you want to vote for. But I'd love to see Dr. Weber win this, just to show them. Do you think it would be possible for us to have a petition at Jessica Park?
I will carry it to them. If somebody will get me a petition, I will carry it to the governor.
Because there'll be a lot of people at Jessica Park, and maybe we'll get a lot of people.
Okay?
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to set an appointment up with him. I'll try to set one up sometimes next week. Don't know when I can get one, but I will try to get it next week.
I can take one to every home in Irondale. We'll get the
We'll
petition up.
get
Give me a petition, and I'll be setting up an appointment to go down and talk. The governor's my friend. I know him personally. The governor bought his first house in the city of Irondale. Nobody knows that, but his first house that he and his wife bought when he was going to UAB to become a doctor was in the city of Irondale.
Thank you, Mayor.
So he
Appreciate
knows
it.
about Irondale.
Yes, sir. Next. Yes.
My name is John Schoen at 3848 Rock Ridge Road. I've got several comments that I'd like to make. Some of you may not be aware, but the stoplight up there at Crestwood Boulevard and Old Leeds Road, after they did the resurfacing, was a mess. And it took me about 4 months and a lot of harassment, talking to a lot of people here with no results. Finally, I got hold of the right person at the state, and they corrected it so that it's green all the time for Crestwood Boulevard and called upon from Old Leeds Road. Makes traffic run a whole lot easier and a whole lot quicker through there. I assume they're going to be resurfacing Highway 78. Does anybody know anything about this? Because there's barrels all up and down the roads.
I hadn't even noticed the barrels, John. They haven't contacted me.
I saw the cones today.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I saw the cones today, and I think.
So we don't know anything about that. They're just,
We'll
it's
find
going to
out.
happen, huh?
Okay, we'll find out. We have made contact.
We will find out. We usually know about a week before they do it,
Okay.
but it needs it.
Yeah, I'm not questioning that. I was just kind of curious about the cone as I was driving up there. I saw that this evening. I'd like to ask the council's permission to consider redoing the flags up and down the Highway 78. Bud Romeo was instrumental in setting that up several years ago, and the Exchange Club has taken it on kind of as a duty and a chore to try to keep track of it along with the city, and we've shared costs in putting the flags up. Right now, due to automobiles, thievery, and all kinds of stuff, we're missing about 25 flagpoles. And we need to redo all the flags, and it takes about 100 flags to do the whole works. And I'd like for you to consider, put on your agenda sometime in the future, an allotment of $15,000 to be able to cover the expenses of digging holes for all these new flagpoles, and because it costs about $200 a flagpole. We have these things ripped up. I've given the information to the police department to try to get recouping dollars and cents. Nothing ever seems to happen. So it's an expense that's thrown on the city, but I think it's something the city can feel proud of. I've used it in photographs and stuff at exchange clubs all over the United States, and it looks sharp when it's complete. But right now, we're missing an awful lot of flags, and I'd like for you to consider that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more comment? Yes, ma'am.
Shirley Macon, 114 Candlelight Lane, Stone Ridge. I would like to address the committee in the community of Stone Ridge, on every street behind the homes, there are ditches that run behind the houses. Is there anything that the city can do about that as far as cleaning those ditches up? And then the people that lives in the home, we can try to keep it maintained, but at least get it where it looks decent?
Bobby Joe, I don't know whether it's private property or not, and that's something I'll have to check. Is anybody here from the street department? I will look into it. If it's private property and we don't own it, if it's an easement for the city, we can do it. But if it's not, state law prohibits us from doing it. But I will check into it, and I can't tell you whether it is or not right now. But I will find out.
Also, the lighting that's on the telegram posts, on some of the streets, we have no lighting on some of them. Can we get those lights?
Sure can. If you'll tell me, give me which lights are not lit, we can get the power. We're still paying power on it.
Okay.
So we want to know what lights are not burning, because we pay the power bill whether they're burning or not. So I would like to know the location of those lights, and I will have the street department man call the power company and get those lights replaced.
Okay, last but not least, as we enter into the community going into Stone Ridge, we have crepe myrtle trees planted on both sides of the road. Is there any funding that we can try to get some lighting on the ground, not lighting up all the trees, but just putting something up and down the road periodically around those, shining on those trees to make the community look nice?
That's y'all, Bobby Joe.
This,
That's a council.
you have my email address. You have my email address.
I don't.
I'll get to you as soon as it's over.
Okay.
We'll talk about those things.
Okay.
Council London is the representative in your district.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments?
This lady in the blue here.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see.
Jenny Brown, 4154 Riverbrook Road. I have a question as to who is responsible maybe for grant writing with the city? And what is the procedure, you know, if we see a grant that maybe needs to be pursued, who does that, and how do we go about it? For instance, today one came through my email that EPA has given out millions of dollars on urban river projects. And we have an urban river.
Sure do.
They're small grants, but collectively it was like $200 million across the U.S. But they were giving out like $20,000 grants for urban river renewal type projects, boat landings and this kind of thing. And it's those types of things. How do we pursue that? Who is responsible
Give
for
me an
that?
email. Send me an email, mayor@cityofirondale.org.
Do we have a grants writer?
We don't have one right now.
Currently, Ms. Brown, we do not have a grant writer. So if you have any information or anything, or you have any possibility, opportunities for grants, if you would email me, if you know somebody that
There's a
can.
lot floating out there, Department of Interior, there's grant money out there, but we certainly won't get a grant if there's nothing to it.
Let me make this comment. We did discuss sending out an RFP for a grant writer. We have had that discussion for a couple of work sessions, I must say. So we are aware of the city not having a grant writer at this time. So that is being worked on. We did have a grant writer, which the contract has ended. But we have discussed a grant writer for the past 2 or 3 council meetings, I know for sure. So we are in the work of getting a grant writer.
Council President,
Yes,
yes, next month an RFP is supposed to go out for a grant.
One other question as to the river trail. Who owns that property and who maintains
The city maintains the river wall.
Okay, it needs some maintenance. It's
We
flooded,
know
it's
that,
washed
and
out.
we're working on getting some maintenance done right now. I have discussed it with the street department.
Okay, and the trash pickup back here?
We picked it up, and that question come up last week, and I asked them, was everything okay with the trash, and they said yes.
No, it's not. I was there Sunday, there's a mountain of trash back there, mountain. There's broken bottles, diapers, everything.
We don't have a problem with that. We have arrested some people, we have towed cars in, and we're trying to get it under control. A lot of folks are going down there on the weekend and partying.
Sunday, it's a heavily used area, it's very popular. I don't think we want to discourage it, but we want to get something in place to be able to control it and get some signage up. And maybe we could get some scout troops. John, are you still associated with scouts? Maybe we get some Eagle Scouts to do some projects back there and get some signage up, things, you pack it in, pack it out, I think.
And Jenny, I would like to go and extend it out to Overton Road. There's no road there, it goes all the way out to Overton Road, and I have discussed with Church of the Highlands about the city leasing it, taking city employees and going out there and extending that trail right there, and all the way to the road.
Okay, how can we help you pursue that?
Well, if the Church of the Highlands give me a lease that can clear up for a minimum amount of money, and we'll do the rest.
Well, how do we do that? I mean, the Church of Highlands.
I talked to them 2 or 3 times about it. They haven't got to give an answer yet.
They have an administrative pastor. He's really an administrator who handles those type things rather than minister, so just check and to see his name, that would be the person to address on property issues. Just so you're aware, Councilor Lundon's also been out there, and we've been talking about the walk down that's just on the concrete, steps and a rail to make it a little more user-friendly for us older folks like me.
Well, have you seen what Mount Brook is doing down at Piggly Wiggly at River Run?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
At least I've seen what you can see from the road.
They don't have the resource that Irondale has. They just had a flat wooded area, and the kids going in there with the rope swing, it was heavily used, so they hired an architect and laid down, had walking trails, picnic areas, and it's under construction now. If we could duplicate the same thing up on Irondale, but we need to have a plan or a vision for it, and get it laid out and start raising the money for it, or find some grant money.
Jenny, they may not have quite the resource we do, but they have about 10 times the money we do. Yeah, and that's what we're working on. I think Council Lund and I both think the first thing is to improve access, particularly for older people, and trying to walk back up that surface. It's a 45-degree slope under the bridge after you walk the trail.
Let's not think too small.
We need some rails and steps first.
Let's go plan.
The Arboretum Society is for this, and so is the Land Trust for it.
Sunday, when I was there, I counted 40 people at that swimming hole. You probably swam there as a child, going off the road, swimming, 40 people. Picnics, everything. It's
Jimmy, I
heavily
did.
used.
That was our swimming hole when I lived on 20th Street as a child.
Yeah, it's a popular area, but it needs, we need to make it safe and encourage people to use it, but also give them what they need to be able to get the trash out.
We'll get the trash out.
There's a mountain of it. I think you're going to need a motorized vehicle. Okay, well, all right. I'll get back in touch with you and then see what we can maybe get with,
Beth Stewart, they have a grant there to improve the parking lot.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. We're gonna have to continue. What we'll do after our next question, we'll continue the comments after we adjourn the meeting, okay? We have one more. Mr. Yes, sir.
I'm Cal Fabs, 5637 Hampton Road. Has anybody noticed that the fine repair that the county did on Overton Road between Hampton Road and Belmont? Boy, they did a fine job. They took a mess and made it worse. What can we do to get it straightened out?
Call, we'll have to call them, and send me an email on that, Cal. I can make that city Monday when I come in here, I'll call the county if you'll send me an email. That helps me remember 3 or 4 days from now.
Sounds good.
Mr. Council President, I make a motion that we leave the regular council meeting and go into executive
session.